Here is a commercial electric branded high velocity floor VN. It's a 20-inch model with 3 speeds. I ended up with one of these under a different brand several years ago, and it was surprisingly decent. And I was at the Home Depot recently, and it seemed like this is pretty much the same as the other one. So eventually curiosity got the better of me and I rationalized getting one. These retail for about $50 at the time of this taping. It seems like high velocity fans have been pretty reasonable over the last couple of years. Some of the plastic fans, the oscillating fans, the box fans, some of those are just awful. But some of these seem to be okay. Now this says airflow up to 4,800 CFM, which is a rating I would just totally ignore if you're comparing these fans, because even though that would be a reasonable figure to look at and compare, it's just not accurate. And the airflow quantity is so inconsistent. You can take 2 fans that are rated for thousands different, put them side by side, and it's just not that different. So I think that these companies are using different methods to make that measurement, or it's being rounded to an absurd amount, or it's just flat out a lie. I don't know. Whatever the reasoning is, that number is not accurate and it's not consistent between makes and models. So I would just ignore that. In terms of the features that this has, it says 5-foot grounded power cord, which is very short, especially for something like this. 360 tilt, all metal construction, easy carry handle, and no tools required for assembly. And it looks like it also comes with a wall mounting bracket. And in regards to these seeming to be better made, it does have a 2-year warranty, which is kind of unusual to see for a basic cheap appliance like this. Most of it's 1 year at most. So let's open this up and take a look at what we got here. It's a fairly plain box. Oh, here's the power information on the other side. Why it only gives you that in Spanish, not in English, I don't know. But if you speak Spanish, you're allowed to have this information. It claims to draw 130 watts on low, 140 watts on medium, and 162 watts on high, which is fairly low power. So we'll see how it compares from the actual test that we do now. Well, it comes in some plastic film, of course, although it looks like the opening of the plastic film is at the top, where it should really be at the bottom to keep dust out. Where's that easy carry handle? Well, the easy carry handle is not at the top either. Where is that easy carry handle? I don't know. I don't even see it. So this is not put in the box in a way that makes any sense. Well, this is not exactly a very good first impression here. So we got parts and pieces all just all over the place inside the box. So we've got 2 bumper things, which we'll put back in the box. We don't need that for now. We've got plastic film. Here's our easy carry handle. We've got some more of these bumper things. Yeah, I knew I was hearing something out there. Who gives? Ah, it's the neighbors. So the motor, which is what I was most interested in, really looks like it's of halfway decent quality. And the windings are all tied up pretty nicely. It really looks like the motor's built pretty well. There's the informations on the motor. That motor seems halfway decent. It's grounded. The blade is riveted, built properly. The pitch is kind of shallow. There is a decent scoop to the blades, but the pitch is kind of shallow, so this is probably going to be pretty loud. Yeah, the motor's not bad. Let's see how it goes together. I see screws in the bag there. Maybe that's for the wall mount. It claims that no tools are required. Looks like this just presses on here with that switch thing there. That's pretty easy. Well, definitely no tools required for that. That was easy enough. Huh. Ain't that something? This fan contains a resettable thermal protector. If the fan stops working as a result of the motor overheating, please wait several minutes till the motor cools down, then restart the fan. So this motor is actually of good enough quality that it has a resetting thermal switch. So it's not a one and done like a lot of the cheap motors are today. So that really confirms my suspicions that this motor is built halfway decent. It's a capacitor run motor, and the capacitor is a 10 microfarads, which is quite high for something this small. And it looks like this has these little things here on the side that go on to tighten this. And they have metal chains to keep it on. The only problem is you can't really turn it too much. Just put that on there and then you try to turn it, well, you're only going so far and then it's going to stop. So that's a nice concept, but kind of dumb execution. Actually, I guess you can kind of move it around and get around that. Here's the wall mount bracket. Seems sturdy enough. It's not a heavy fan. It's pretty lightweight. Two-year warranty. That's not bad. Nothing super interesting in here. The book here talks about clips, but this has screws, very small screws at that. I would have much preferred to have the clips on the guard. It just makes it easier to take it apart for cleaning. But this has these little screws. Build quality's not bad. You know, it's got thinner gauge wire. It's kind of flimsy, but It's overall not too bad. The stand is very solid. Doesn't want to tip backwards at all. The cord is too short. This should have had at least an 8-foot cord. Yeah, that's really kind of pathetic. Alright, so we are testing. Oh, the fuse is replaceable in the plug. So we are testing at 119.7 volts. Go back over to amps, and there is an information tag on the back. We'll take a look at that real quick. I don't know what this is for. There should be a second one to make it a cord wrap. That's kind of weird. Or I guess maybe the intention is you wrap it on with the handle as well. Maybe that's what it is. 1.35 amps, model SFC1-500B. Made in January of 2001. It's allegedly UL listed too. Alright, it starts off on 3. We're going to go down to 1. Alright, so that is 1.04 the amps, 123 the watts, and 0.98 the power factor. That's a very reasonable power draw for the air being moved. And the balance, it's not perfect, but it's very reasonable. It's within an acceptable margin of error. The fan's not shaking all over the place and vibrating everywhere. It's pretty well balanced. It is kind of loud though. The airflow, I'm surprised. It's a lot more than I thought it was going to be. The airflow is actually pretty solid. I suppose for the amount of air moved, it's not excessively loud. You do have to expect a good amount of noise with a large amount of air being moved. And it is pretty strong. We get plenty of air across the room. Let's go to the medium. There's hardly any variance in the speeds, which kind of stinks. That's 1.09 amps, 130 the watts, 0.99 the power factor. It's a little bit louder, a little bit more air, but not much difference. It really does move a pretty satisfactory amount of air. It's not a cheap PI, it's not a patent of the 90s, but for $50, which is a lot less than both of those costs, this is solid. Now the high. Again, barely any difference in speed. It's still pretty well balanced. It's not perfect, but it's reasonable. 1.2 the amps, 143 the watts, 0.99 the power factor. For 1.2 amps, this is a lot of air. It really is pretty powerful. Now let's see how good the bearings are, because with the other one that I have, That was the failure point, was the motor locked up. And I did a video on how to oil it, and that video has gotten a lot of views, which is usually a good indicator that many other people are having the same problem. Yeah, the bearings are stiff, and you can hear them as it was slowing down. You can hear the bearings. So this is not being shipped with an adequate amount of lubrication. And really, if you're going to put some hours on this, I think you should really take it apart and oil it before you use it. I oiled up the other one, and it's had no problems since then. That was years ago. It's a shame it's like that. That's going to be the failure point on this, is the bearings are going to lock up. If this was ball bearing, this would be a phenomenal product for $50. The bearings are going to be an issue. I'd be very surprised if the bearings last 2 years like that. But if you oil it, it'll last just fine. So for $50, I'm impressed. You can't buy much that's decent for that price anymore.